Good evening and welcome to this week's Sunday Night Live. Our special guest this evening is Ron Overs, the publisher of Fixed Ops magazine. Fixed Ops is the new sales, and right now with a lot of sales departments closed down, it's critically important to get your Fixed Ops game on because when the doors open back up, you guys need to be ready. So without any further ado, Ron Overs.
Well, Paul, thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity to talk to everyone. We've had a lot of fun learning everything there is to learn about fixed operations. It's about last August, I had the opportunity with two good friends of mine that have owned this magazine for the last 16 years. They asked me to come in and get involved. I knew them prior to that. I worked with them way back when with Win Oil Company and the WIN's product warranty program, which was a group of additives that went in a car and then acted like a warranty. Anything they touched, they would actually warranty those parts from not breaking. And so we had a great team of guys across the country selling that program. And the two owners of the company were involved with that, as well as myself. And we just had a great time for over 10 years doing that. Became good friends doing that.
Now, before we get too deep into, now, not everybody knows you. A lot of people know you, but not everybody knows you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, you started when, in 1989?
Right. Actually, I started back on the variable side of things, actually selling service contracts and product warranties and doing all kinds of things that involve both the sales side of things as well as service departments. As you imagine, every service contract you sell, a percentage of those ends up in the service department. So you get to know real well the service manager. You learn all of the different aspects of what's going on with warranty repairs. And obviously you get to deal with a lot of customers who got issues that, felt they have something that should be covered that's not, or just all kinds of different things. So had a lot of fun learning that experience. So that's where I met the owners of this magazine, who actually were on that side of the dealership as well. And then what happened was the person I had as a publisher of this magazine for over 10 years retired. Nick West, a lot of people knew Nick, and was a great guy. He retired. They brought somebody in who was, let's say, he was supposedly understands the publishing side of things, but really didn't understand the actual automotive side of it. And he really flailed, had a hard time for a very short period of time. They asked me to come aboard, knowing that I have, over 30 years in working with service departments, working with sales departments, trying to make the two to work well together. And I said, maybe you can help us, with this magazine, which would, even last August, we were probably 95% a paper magazine with kind of a digital magazine presence, but really not that much going. So, that was one of my first challenges, has been to figure out how to, get the digital side of things up and going. I've been working hard on that, and it's been real encouraging to get a lot of feedback from subscribers, from dealers, and saying, hey, how do you make this thing work? And got some great things coming, and we already got a good start on things. So it's been a lot of fun doing that.
Well, the interesting about the car business is that it's a culture unto itself, right? Not everybody can just jump right into it, because you kind of have to speak their language. You have to know where they're coming from, what their struggles are, what their challenges are. And a lot of times people that haven't spent any amount of time in the car business, it's not something you pick up right away. So as I said, certainly in 30 years, you meet a lot of characters, you learn a lot of situations, and you get great insight on where they fall short and where there are opportunities for improvement.
Absolutely. And, it's funny when you say that, because any business that you step into that you hadn't been doing before, there's a whole new set of acronyms. And we laugh about that, right? So, the first few months on it, I'm sitting down just writing down what everybody's saying, and you're just saying, does everybody mean the same thing by ELR, by MPI? Does everybody mean the same thing by RO, PVR? Are these all real, everybody really using the same basis terms, so that I really could understand what was going on. But as you said, the beauty also of doing something for 30 years in the same industry has allowed me to be relaxed enough to ask what seems like simple questions that maybe you should just assume you know the answer to, but you don't. And also just to see the parallels between sales and service that a lot of people don't get. One of the first calls that I was listening to, and I've been on a lot of calls that I just sit back and listen. And, I'm not sure I won't say who it was at the time who was talking, but it was saying how, you got to build your RO, you need to have at least two and a half, 3 items on every RO, I don't care if they come in for an oil change, you got to add, and I'm laughing because it's exactly what they do on the sales side in the F&I office, right? The customer comes in, you need gap, you need a service contract, you need tinted windows, you need, they just go down the menu list of items that you need to purchase. So it's been fun to really just see the correlation between the two and say, all right, so this is where it really does work and how it really works well on that side, and maybe bring over to fixed operations some really fun opportunities, to say this is how you can logically grow your business without just, creating a trail of unhappy people behind you. So it's been a lot of fun.
Now we've got, let's see here. We've got a couple people chiming in. Anthony, hey, Paul. Ken Dunner from Sugar Land, Texas. Mr. Suave, this distinguished debonair. Oh, my God. You got to meet, if you haven't met Ken, and I haven't met him in person yet, but I'm looking forward to that day. And you know what Ed Roberts says, RO, what the real meaning of RO is? What's
that?
Ron Overs. Not repair order, Ron Overs.
That's right.
And that's good.
Group of people. Yeah.
Now you've also done some F&I training too, right? Back in the day,
I've done a lot of F&I training. I've done a lot of training of all sorts. We would go into dealerships and set up certified used car programs with dealerships, which of course involved the service department doing all the inspections prior to putting the cars out there and determining how much you were going to do to the car before you put it out there. Also put lifetime warranties on cars. I have programs that we would sell to dealers they would put a lifetime warranty in every car they sold. And that was, what kind of inventory we're going to select to put on those programs, what we're going to exclude so that they were profitable, because all those programs were involved with reinsurance from dealers. So they were always looking at not spending the reserves on claims, but having that money one rainy day, for their own use. So it was a lot of fun to, just talk through that whole concept with service managers to say, when you get that European car in there and I know you think it's a cherry, I'm telling you, it'll eat your lunch 2 years from now. You really don't want to certify that car. It's going to hurt you. And, those kind of things.
I remember Audi 270s coming off lease that needed like $3,000 worth of work in the shop without even batting an eye.
Oh, yeah. 3,000 where you could spend it so fast, it would just, and you wondered why they were so cheap at the auction. And then you realized you had to put that kind of money into them, to get them something that you could honestly trust for a long period of time out there, for sure. So
we got Roz Lowe says, treat customers like family and they will become customers for life. Ron Usher, hey, Paul, keep it simple, stupid, or keep it stupid, simple. No, we tend to overcomplicate the business. We generically, as everybody, when it really does boil down to a simple thing of building relationships, and everything else falls into place when you do that. Let's see. So you were in dealerships, and that's where you met the owners of the magazine?
Well, the owners of the magazine at that time were also involved with the Win Oil Company way back when. We're talking about 1989, right? So they were involved with it way back then. So I got to know them at that point. They then began the magazine about 15 years ago. And really, they got involved with it because, much like myself, when you think you're selling service contracts, you think you're selling an F&I product. But the reality is 1 in 5 of those cars ends up with a long conversation with a service manager about something that is misunderstood as far as the level of coverage on the vehicle. And you were the one to have to come up with a creative solution, to keep peace. And you really became the Henry Kissinger in the dealership of how you're going to make the customer happy, the dealership still profitable, and still keep the warranty company from, losing the business because they weren't going to say yes to the entire claim. And so it was always fun to just go through that whole process, and you really learned to deal with problem situations. So much like this, epidemic we're in right now, it's just a big problem, right? And you have to sit down and say, how do I assess this problem? How do I solve the issue that we have right now? And the number one issue is you don't have any customers.
Right.
So if I can figure out a way to get customers, proactively to start coming into my store, and then we'll have less of a problem. And if you look at the best dealerships that are out there today, and you mentioned Ed Roberts and Tully, and the guys that we know that are just the best of the best out there for sure. And I'm not excluding everybody else. I'm just mentioning those two quickly. The reality is they've been doing it right for a long time. Their stores, and because they do it right, they have people still coming to their stores and have a need. Now, they still do all the things we talk about, right? They've got the BDC department. They're doing all the follow-up. They've got all the tools. But the reality is, because they've been doing it right for so long, these customers know that when they have a need, one way or another, that dealership's going to take care of their need and work for them, and they trust them. And if the trust is there, when you get that phone call requesting you bring your car in, they trust that you're going to do that. Paul, you and I talked briefly before this, and I've owned a bunch of European cars as well as American cars. And what was always so interesting about the European cars was the expectation of service. When you bought a BMW, it wasn't like you were going to buy it and never take it in for service. I mean, you were going to become an intimate friend of the service manager. I mean, I had one of the first 7 Series BMWs that went back 9 times in the first year. Okay. Nice. He got to know what radio station I wanted my car on when I went to pick it up. Did I want dark chocolate or milk chocolate on the dashboard as a thank you? I mean, this guy really understood who I was. Okay. But the reality was these European cars were in the shop all the time. But the expectation was, well, that's just what you have to do for a fancy car like that. And the reality is some of those same thoughts and thinking have to be now pervasive regardless of what you're selling the customer. The expectation that you have to maintain this car. It's not just, you don't turn the key anymore, right? You don't just push the button anymore and drive down the road. There's things you have to expect and plan on doing and get those on your calendar early so that there's no surprises, to the customer. And, we talk about, you need to treat them like family. I always like to put a caveat on that because I have family members that, I really treat really well. And I have family members that probably I don't treat as well as I treat customers, and you really want to look at it and say,
we all have those.
Yeah, right. So the reality is sometimes it's a blanket statement. You go, which relative am I talking about? Because the reality is you want to treat them like a real prized possession. You want to, they have trusted a relationship with you that they can go anywhere else with, but they chose to do business with you. Treat them like somebody really, really special. And, at the end of the day, they're going to reward that and go back. Our latest issue we were talking about, we did one on the tire wars. Now, we thought we were going to be meeting in Dallas and talking about tires, right? And, the COVID experience kind of, shut that down. But, one of the things was that we talked about, so many guys are talking about, well, how do you sell tires, and it's like, do I have piles of tires in the showroom or, do I have videos playing all the time saying, we sell great tires here, or, signs saying $120 off a set of tires, like you'd see at BJ's or Costco. And the reality is it comes back to, how you sell a tire is when you deliver the car, you set up your first appointment. It's set already. And that's 3 months down the road, whenever it is. And much like one of the gentlemen talked about going in and talking to his dentist, that first appointment is something free. They're going to get an oil change. They're going to get a tire rotation. They're going to get something for nothing. Okay. But at the same time, they're going to start their relationship with you. And that relationship is going to continue to grow. And at that point, you're going to say, hey, you know what? You have 30 seconds of tread on your tires. Good news, they're in good shape. But let's start planning. You're going to need a set of tires probably in about 6 months. So let's start planning towards that. Okay. We sell the OE tires, which means simply the manufacturer spent $1 million deciding which tires to put on these cars. We have those here in stock. Now, if you want something else, we can get those for you too. But we have the ones the manufacturer said make the car stop right, accelerate right, turn right, handle right. And I have those here for you. They're sitting on the shelf. The day you need them, I have them. So don't worry about all the other things you're going to hear, but start that relationship the day you buy the car, not the day, you hear some wobbling noise or the steering wheel shaking out of your hand and, you think you need an alignment or a balance, and the reality is you need a $1,500 change of 4 tires. And now you're out shopping for the best price for it. You just form that relationship right from the start. So it's finding things like that, and that, the tire issue that we put together, and, talking to the people out there and saying, how do you do it? What do you make it? How do you make this work? Some of them said, we hire people from tire shops. Great, because they really understand the tire business, right? And they know what, different tread wears and, means. What's a 520 versus a, I once had a sports car that I wore out a set of tires in 5,000 miles. Now, some bad driving, okay, a little aggressive driving on the car, okay. Expected to get 15,000 miles out of those tires, okay. To my great shock to find out that they were worn out already. But the tires had a wear rating of under 200, okay. Well, they weren't designed to last. They were designed to be really sticky.
Right.
So, let people understand why there are certain tires and why certain things are important to them. And you just start that dialogue where they trust you as the expert. We used to say to the finance manager or the salesman in the dealership, you're going to sell more cars this month than that customer is going to buy in their lifetime, right? So now you take a customer who buys a car at age 20, stops buying cars in his 60s or 70s, he's probably going to go through a dozen cars, maybe 15. Okay, if you go with a car every 4 or 5 years, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So
audio's your signal's cutting
the
out.
reality is, why don't you look at that? You're hoping to sell that many cars this month. You are the expert. Start acting like the expert, and they will start believing what you say. Start buying what you're selling, and it's really important to get that kind of thinking going on between you and the customer.
Ron, your signal's cutting out. I don't know if you can hear me. Ron, can you hear me? I'll just text him, let him know his signal's cutting out. Okay, what I'm going to try to do is take him off the stream and then bring him back on. Okay, let's see if that, just give it a moment here. Technology is great, but every once in a while we do have some glitches. Oh, just lost him. He'll be back in just a moment. The upside and downside of technology all at once. All right, so we've got, we're waiting for Ron to come back on. We have Annie Lister. Hi, Paul. Hi, Annie. Gene Gurley. Hi, y'all. Kenneth likes dark chocolate. Says that's the best. Me, I like milk chocolate myself. And let's see. Gene Gurley says Ed Roberts, love it. The relationship is the foundation that leads to almost all sales, from Ed Roberts. That is 100% absolutely true. Without the relationship, you basically have nothing. Oh, here he comes.
Paul.
Okay, we lost you there for a moment.
I apologize. I don't know. The Xfinity must have just let go. Sorry about that. Is it back working for you?
Yeah, you're on good now.
All right, sounds good.
So I think I got most of it. the conversation about tires does need to start right away. It's always boils down to communication, and it boils down to developing that relationship. Now, I firmly believe, and you said it perfectly, the sales department and the service department, they are two departments very much similar, yet where there seems to be a disconnect is how these two departments interconnect, right? So, for instance, the sales to service handoff, critical. I firmly believe, that a customer needs to be touched by service 3 times before they leave the parking lot, right? The first time is on the salesman's demo drive, the introduction of service. Be proud of your service department. Show them what you have, what you do, and why you do it. The introduction to the service staff at that point, the service manager or director, the service advisors, let them see how everybody interacts together. If the culture is good, you can get the vibe from the place right away that these are people that are genuinely happy to work together. Then the next time you have, when they come to pick up the car, right? So you've made the deal. If it's a spot delivery, great, but not a lot of places are set up for spot delivery, sad to say. When they come back to pick up their car, before they leave the parking lot, yet another walk through the service. Hey, I just want to reintroduce you to Mark. He's our service manager. He's going to be taking good care of you. You remember Dave and Ed, part of and Wilma, part of the service team here, who are going to be looking after you over your life ownership of the car. An average person today holds their car 11 plus years. Before that customer leaves the lot, when the salesman shook the hands, they've gone over the books, done everything, and the customer puts that car in drive, before that car goes over the curb, they should immediately get an email, which is a video reintroduction to that service staff again. So when the customer's sitting there, they're waiting to pull out, all of a sudden the email comes in. Oh, wow, it's an email from XYZ Motors. Oh, look, there's Mark, the service manager, and the service staff. Hey, we want to thank you again, and just so that you have this on for reference, I'm Mark, your service manager. Here's my service staff. We're here to help you. Whenever you need help, here's a phone number to contact us in the event that your salesperson is not available, whatever the case may be. So 3 times they've had the touch from service before they've left. Talk about a warm and fuzzy feeling, right?
Absolutely.
As you said, when they come in, Tully's good for this, sell the green. There's nothing wrong with them, but educate them right off the bat that these are the things that normally need maintenance, and this is what we carry, and this is why. But by the same token, we realize you have choices, and some of those other choices aren't going to necessarily offer you the OEM items. And if that's the road you want to go down, we can certainly explore that at the time. So great points, Ron. Right from the beginning.
And we've always said that someone will say, well, whose job is it? And the answer is yours.
Yeah.
Okay. Whoever you are, it is your job. More times than not, they're saying, well, okay, the sales manager should be, getting a hold of me. And the answer is, it's always your job.
Everybody. Yeah.
Right. No matter what the situation is, get out of your chair, walk up front and say, no one leaves a lot before they talk with us. And you know what? We're a team together. I want to keep your customers happy. And this is how we get your CSI up. This is how we get our business. We work together. And you know what? And pretty soon there will be no cars leaving the lot without that. And the truth is, all we were saying before, Paul, was the fact that you're then not chasing the customer for service.
Right.
The customer is leaving with the idea he's coming back for something for free. He's going to be excited to do that. You're going to put him in a loaner car, or you're going to take him wherever he needs to go, and you're going to bring his car back looking great and shiny, and it's something for nothing. And at the same time, you've assessed his car, and he's now feeling great about this whole ownership experience. And you've extended that new car feeling for as long as you possibly can before you really have to start, taking care of his car and billing him for things that he's going to need to, take good care of. But he then knows more about his car at that point than he ever did when it was sitting on the lot out front. So especially used cars, we're talking. So, but that's my excitement. As you can tell, I'm passionate about it because I see so many people skip a step and then chase customers constantly trying to get, redevelop a relationship that they lost, that they're now trying to develop. And it's a hard job to do. You know, it's a step above picking up the phone book and just calling people at random. You know, you sold them a car, you know what, that was so yesterday to that customer. But if you have already started a relationship, it's just a continuation of a friendship. And the first thing you do for a friend, you do something for nothing, right? And then they do something back for nothing. And next thing you know, we're helping each other on things that cost us each other money. And you know what? We don't care because we're friends. It just works. It just makes sense. And you know, that's how friendships work. And same thing with this. And next thing you know, they're bringing people to you. They're saying, oh, they're telling all their friends how they bring their cars to you because you do such a great job. So it's kind of things like that that make it make sense.
And I'm a firm believer in the whole team concept, because let's face it, the only constant in our business is change, right?
Absolutely.
So when somebody pulls into your service drive and you have a team, the entire team is there for you, right? It's like when I go into a restaurant, some of these restaurants, the entire wait staff waits on me, the entire staff, right? You develop as a customer a relationship with the dealership. The people are important and each person plays their role. But if you have kind of a team situation, when one of those team members leaves, it's not that Bob was my advisor and I have to go to Bob, or Bob's gone now. Now, who am I going to go to next? As opposed to you're dealing with the entire team. You know everybody by name. When people used to come into my shop, they knew the techs by name, the counter person. Everybody knew everybody by name, and it was that type of an environment that, you know, sure, I had some people come and go, but to the customer, the overall vibes always stayed the same because they were always part of the team.
Absolutely. No question about it.
Now, COVID-19 has dramatically impacted just about every business on the planet. How has it affected your business, you know, right now?
You know, it's been interesting. We have two different, you know, obviously, as we give away our subscriptions, right? So you sign up for FixedOpsMag, you know, .com, you get the magazine for free. But that means the only way we make money, of course, is through advertisers. People like Reynolds and Reynolds, Sherwin-Williams, you know, Revolution Parts. We go on and on, right? All the people who advertise with us every month.
Yeah.
Most of those advertisers realize that this is a unique time where we have everybody's undivided attention, right? Everybody is like, oh, what am I supposed to do when I fall into a crisis? Well, I go to find out where everybody else is looking for answers. Places like Fixed Ops Magazine, you know, and things like Paul, things like Dave Foy. We go find answers from others. Go talk to other service managers and fixed ops managers. Find out what they're doing. So as a resource, a lot of these advertisers are saying, hey, you know what? We want to double down. And, you know, we actually offered all of our advertisers a free e-blast thank you out to all of our clients, and just say, hey, just tell them thank you for, you know, doing business. We're there for you if there's something we need. Look at all the wonderful suppliers to the fixed ops departments that are offering all kinds of special incentives right now. You know, Update Promises one came up, right? They gave like their product for 90 days for free to try it, just so you could try something new and not put cash out, which is what you're trying to preserve right now as you go through this. There's a bunch of companies like that. Cox Automotive is doing a bunch of stuff with some of their companies. So there's a lot of guys out there, the companies that really feel for dealerships that are going through it. And the great news is we're working with some real professionals like that. Now, obviously, we get some other ones that just are, you know, cash is king. I have to protect every dollar. I can't run any ads, you know, and so you're out there looking for new people. The fun part of that for me is I make new relationships all the time. You talk to new people and you find out new products that really can change the way business is done. And, you know, we're always doing that. We have one coming up, hopefully in the next issue, from a little Wi-Fi camera type thing that looks like a flashlight that you take out. And so when someone says they want to send an inspector, you say, no, I'll just bring my little Wi-Fi flashlight out here, and you just tell me what you want to see, and I'll show you everything, and it'll come across. We'll record it for you, tell me exactly what you see, and we're going to save you the $100 for the inspector coming out. Those are game changers. products. Okay, that's a brand new product, goes into production next month. So we're going to have that kind of a product in our magazine because we're out looking for those kind of things all the time to differentiate your dealership from everybody else. So it's been fun because the hard part is you get people that, have really tight budgets right now, and that makes it hard for a magazine. But on the same thing, how we've done it is just the opposite, which is saying, when you get in these situations, you got to give more. You don't have to pull back. You got to give more. So we start giving away free advertising. We start giving away opportunities to introduce new things to people who are desperately in need of ways to change their business. How do I get new customers in? How do I get the customers I have back in? How do I relate to my customers better? Everybody's got talking about some kind of text messaging or messaging software. There's some awesome products out there today. I mean, just simply awesome products out there. And it works. And it works because it really does give that customer that confidence that he needs, that he's making the right decision. Just think about whatever it is you're going to do, right? Your dishwasher breaks down and someone says, hey, Paul, it's $500 to fix your dishwasher. Okay, so what's going through your mind? Do I want to spend $500 on this thing? Well, it's too raw a number, right? So, but if I can show you what's wrong and show you why that may be better than buying a new one, then maybe you'll go ahead and do that repair. Or you'll say, you know what, I'm just going to go buy a new one. Thanks anyways, I'm not. But you need to be loaded with that information. And all these new tools give the customer that confidence that he needs to know that you're doing the right thing for them. And that's the concept behind it that makes this work so well. Someone said the other day on a call, I think that it overcomes not the customer's objection, but whoever the weak link in the chain is, right? If it's the tech or if it's the service writer who doesn't really feel maybe it's the right thing to do. But once you start that dialogue, you start overcoming that because you start explaining it in real relationship terms that says, this is why this makes sense to do this kind of repair. And you start working with the customer and start dialoguing with them and finding out what is the reason why they want to do a repair or not do a repair. When we sold stuff in the variable side of things, there's only 3 reasons why a person didn't buy it. They didn't need the product, they couldn't afford the product, or the product wasn't worth the money you were charging them. That was the only 3 reasons why a person doesn't buy. And so number 1 is the car is on the rack, customer brought it in, there is a need for the product. Okay, the car is broke. You're offering them a solution, and you're offering a solution at a price. So the question is, do you see the value in what I'm offering you? You see the need for the product I'm offering you? And do you have the money to get this done? Now, if you don't have the money, let me show you some finance options available to you. Because you need the work. You need the car. I have the repair. Let's get all those things going. So it's simply breaking down whatever it is the customer needs into simple steps that says, you need this. Let me show you how we can get this done today. So tomorrow, you're just back to enjoying your car and not thinking about this problem still existing in your automobile. So those are the kind of things that we like to share and work with people when we're going through the magazine and do these kind of things.
Let's see here. All right, so you've worked with sales and service for over 30 years. What's one aspect of fixed ops that you see missing today?
Fixed ops today, I think what the biggest thing that I see, first, let's start with the positive and say, what do I see? I see people, so many people trying to do the right thing. They're working more and more. I run into very few guys that aren't saying, I'm doing the best job I can do. The reality is so many of them have their heads caught up in what they're doing. They're not looking at all the solutions that are available to them and making the tough decisions to say, do I need to switch to a different platform? Do I need to put a BDC in my place? Do I need to change the way I'm approaching the customer? Do I need to? And what we find is, and this is so typical of anything. Now, if you've sold anything before, your biggest frustration is you walk into somebody with a tool to solve their problem, right? And the picture in a lot of people's salesman's mind is a guy sitting there fighting a fight with a sword, and you're bringing him a machine gun, and he's ignoring you.
It says, I'm all set.
Right, I'm fine. Leave me alone. I got this under control. And you're like, listen, we can make this a lot easier for you. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm okay. So that's the mindset we have. And we run into that a lot of times with fixed operations, right? You walk in and you say, there's a better doohickey to fix your problem. Okay. And they're like, I'm all set. And the answer is, no, you don't have confidence in my solution. And that's why you're saying you're all set. But the reality is you are not all set. And so with fixed operations today, all I say to everyone that I talk to is be open. When a salesman comes in to talk to you about their product, honestly, push everything off your desk, shut the phone off, and tell them they have 60 seconds to tell you why you desperately need to have their product, and let them explain it to you. Okay. And then if it's good, continue. If not, tell them thanks, but I really don't think that's what I need, and ask them to leave. But give them the undivided attention to hear their elevator speech, find out what they got, and does it really make a difference in your store. And I think if fixed operations managers, service managers really would just stop what they're doing. How many times have you gone in and talked to somebody and they never take their head out of their monitor, right? So you're talking to them and they're not even making eye contact with you. They're staring at the monitor the whole time you're talking to them. And you're saying, okay, there's a level of rudeness that's going on with all of that. But the reality is there's a level of arrogance going on, saying, you know what, you're really not that important. Go ahead, say what you got to say and leave. And the reality is what you have to say is very important. And you are trying to decide if this is something that will help your business or not. And by you discounting it, you are discounting the opportunity that might exist. So all I would say is to every fixed ops manager out there, and I know there's a million people that come in, give them a minute, maybe give them 2 minutes, but tell them, I want your best stuff right now. Tell me why I should consider your program and why it's better than what I'm doing today. And at that point, just make a quick decision. We laugh about the Ginsu knives, right? The guy who's selling the Britannica encyclopedias, and regardless, you're going to get the knives. The question is, how quick am I going to give you the knives? How soon are you just going to say, you know what, you're not buying, here's the knives, have a good day. And the same thing goes with this. Let the guy tell you what he wants, take the knives, move on. Or really listen to him, because maybe he's got something you really need and you just don't even realize you have the need for it. And
like this.
Kind of fun. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, all day long, you see that. So it's fun. So anyways, all I'm saying is giving this whole magazine, and this is one of the fun parts I have with this magazine, is I can give it a different perspective, because, we go through this whole system of deciding, what articles are we going to put in the magazine? And you're looking for ones that if someone actually takes the time to read them, it will make a difference in their business. Either confirming what they're doing is the right thing, which is a great article to read, right? Yep. You're reading an article about somebody who's doing something. You find out you're doing it very similar. They're successful. You're successful. You go, I'm on the right path. Good stuff. Or you read the article and you're not doing it at all like that. And you're saying, you know what? Maybe I need to change. Maybe I need to change. Maybe this is how the lesson is being brought to me that tells me it's time for me to make a change. And you work through that. So that's what's kind of fun, because now when I select articles or I'm talking to people who are writing articles, I'm saying, what voice are you writing this in? You're writing to a fixed ops manager. Write it in a way that the audience is a fixed ops manager, that you are there and you're trying to explain to them why what you're doing is really a great idea and it makes sense. And by the way, at the end of the article, if you're not convinced and I'm not convinced reading it, we throw away more than half the articles that we actually get presented to us to put in our magazine. Because at the end of the day, I don't believe what they're selling. I don't believe at the end of the day, they really are a value added to a fixed ops manager out there today. So we're always looking for better ways of doing things. Not my way, but a good, solid way that makes a real compelling argument that what they're offering you is a great idea.
That's very key. They have to be open to listening. That's number one, because nobody knows everything, right? You spend your day at the service department or in the dealership basically putting out fires, right? Mm-hmm. And they always say, oh, there's not enough time for anything. That's true. But a lot of times that's a chosen path. You can either spend your day putting out fires, or you can craft a good fire prevention program so that you become a manager of the process, not a firefighter, right? You'll get more things done that way. And, to your point of give the person 1 minute or give them 2 minutes, that's very, very true. People listen to respond as opposed to listen to understand. They're waiting for the trigger word to hear that says, I got this covered, I'm good. But if they truly listen, one of two things is going to come out of that conversation. As you said, either yes, you validated that I'm doing things properly, or you know what, we might want to have another conversation because obviously there are some things here that I'm not achieving that others are, and I want to find out more about it. Now, I got a couple of comments coming in. I don't want to neglect anybody. Let's see here. Gene Girdley, when I do new dealer training, one of the sessions is sales to service handoff. Paul, yep, firm believer in that. Like I said, 3 touch points before. Kenneth Dunner says, my Toyota service department is superb. They all know me very well. Ken, I think the world knows you very well. Gene says, when I sold cars, I toured the service department before I sat down to discuss the vehicle interest. My favorite tech often sold cars for me before I sat down with them. Also very true. People like to feel the connection and they like to see that people are getting along. Nobody wants to do business with a place where everybody hates each other. Everybody wants to be part of a winning team. Ken says, my Toyota Camry is 20 years now, my 3rd car. My next car is my last car. He says he's got over 350,000 miles on his Camry. I can believe it.
Yeah.
Ron Usher, I sold 3 cars and I'm a tech. Ron, you're a tech and you're a vital part of that team because it's the trust in you that keeps people coming back. Ed Roberts says, amen, Ron Overs. Own the job. Gene Gurley, well done, Ron Usher. Ron Usher comes back with the double thumbs up emojis. David Foy, great discussion. Thank you, David. Kenneth Dunner, I know all of my service department peeps by name. See, that's what I was getting at.
There we go.
Know them all by name. It's like you said, it's a friendship.
Yeah.
Damon Decker, Curtis Nixon is a class act for sure. I have the pleasure of doing business with them, and they are definitely a class act. Got some great products out there for not a lot of money. It's incredible what you can leverage today technology-wise without breaking the bank. Tully Williams, 100% Dave. Ron Usher, our techs have business cards to leave in customers' cars to ask for me. I've never seen that.
That's a great idea.
Brilliant idea. Brilliant. Yeah. I mean, I know, like, I don't go to the doctor that often, but I have my doctor's cell phone numbers, much to their regret, I'm sure. But I have their numbers. If a question is important, I want to know it when I want to know it, right?
Right.
Like dealerships have these chat programs. Chat, I'm a firm believer in chat, but only if that chat ties back to your dealership and involves a dealer employee. I'm all for you need to be available all the time. So have a few designated employees from the dealership that know the store, know the culture, know the inventory, know everything, that are able to field calls. Pay them to do this. It's not like they're going to be on the phone 24 hours a day, but pay them to field a call. My wife got a message in her business at 10 o'clock at night the other night. She called the lady up. She got a big sale out of it, and that lady called back and ordered some more stuff. Why? Because she's accessible when others aren't. Gene Gurley says, he is Damon. Gene Girdley, amen. David Foy, Russ Mann, wow, a wealth of knowledge, not just a magazine guy. And it's a pretty face. David Foy, too many weak links in that information chain that needs to get to the customer. Absolutely true. And it boils down to communication. Unless you communicate it to them, don't assume they know what an RO is. Tonight we learned RO stands for Ron Overs. And
absolutely.
I all the time it was a repair order.
Absolutely.
Let's see. David Usher, Ron Usher says, David Foy, you're 100% right. And let's see here. Ed Roberts, Ron, you are tough. I give them 3 minutes. Well, Ed, that's why you do what you do the way you
That's
do
right.
what you do, man. Russ Mann says, I wish I got 60 seconds. It is usually 30 seconds for the elevator pitch. Hey, guys, stand by. There's something very exciting that's going to be announced in the not too distant future. I'm just saying, I can't tell you more than that. Ken Dunner's got the Ed Roberts sideways laughing face emojis and the clapping hands emojis. Wow, I missed a bunch of messages here. I'm sorry, guys. Ron Usher, teamwork makes the dream work. Ken,
Great.
Ron, oh, of course, absolutely 100%. Russ Mann, more smiling faces, thinking and clapping hands emojis. Ed Roberts, become a fire preventer, right? Why waste
So
your time
true.
getting burned when you can put in the sprinkler system and all the things that you need to do to manage that process?
You know, one of the things I learned about Ed Roberts really quick is he has people down there that he's empowered to do things. So it gives him the power to do what he needs to do. And he knows, you know, if I really need some information because we're putting an article together or something about something in his store, I don't have to bother Ed. I can go to Crystal. You know, I can go to several people in his store who have the power to give me what I need. And then, you know what? That leaves Ed free to do the things that Ed needs to do.
Yeah.
And allows him to be, you know, the guy in charge. He can use his time as he sees best fit, not how he's forced into talking to another guy, calling him up from a magazine saying, hey, I need a little information, you know?
Yeah.
He can, you know, it works. It's just a really well-oiled place. And people learn from the best. That's what we do, you know?
That's a great thing about the community that we're building on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
because everybody is connected and everybody brings something to the table. You learn a little nugget of something from everybody.
Yeah.
Telly Williams, amen. Let's see here. Gene, Ed, OEMs need that message more than dealers, I think.
Yeah.
They tend to throw fuel on the fire, then say they're trying to put it out. Yeah, we've all seen that, haven't we?
So true.
So that's all right. So that's some cool stuff there.
Right.
And let's see here. What excites you most about the future of fixed operations? What really gets your mojo going?
You know, I think it's the young talent that's getting involved with the program. You know, at this point, you know, I'm a geezer in this business, right? When you say, hey, I got 30 years experience, that's the good news. The bad news is, you know how old that makes you? I didn't start when I was 12. So, you know, the reality is we've got years under us. And some of the new talent is adopting the new technologies much faster than the older culture, who's just saying, I've done this all my life like this, or I've adapted to a few new things. And the reality is, sometimes you just need to throw out what you're doing and saying, if you made me king of the day of your dealership and I could just start with a clean platform, how would I set the place up? What products would I use? What processes would I use? What people would I hire? And some of the new people really come at it with that kind of a mindset. Whereas a lot of times, once you've been at it for a while, you're like, well, I'll inch it a little this way, or I'll inch it a little that way. Right. I'll fix the biggest problem that exists today, rather than saying, wait a minute, it's all I'm doing is putting Band-Aids on a wound. You know, I need to make this so we don't get wounded anymore. How am I going to do that? And, go at this thing and make it work. So what excites me is the young people who are truthfully respectful. They have a lot of energy, and they have an adaptation rate to new technology that just, we pale in comparison at times, because they get it and they trust it more than we trust it. You know, we try something new and it fails, we're reluctant to want to go back and try it again. They're like, okay, just reboot, start over, let's go, try it again. You know, something didn't go right, it was a glitch, we'll make it work. And their expectation is that things are going to work. And if you're working with good quality companies, that is the answer, right? Yeah. I mean, the companies and the people you talked about, they don't build junk. These guys build great stuff. I mean, They really do, you know, Curtis builds good stuff, Cox Automotive, they didn't become the billion-dollar company by delivering garbage. They deliver really good products. Okay. They all have some glitches here and there, but the reality is those products make your job that much better. They make you better at what you do. And so we try to, get those stories to you so that you can read them and say, I got it. I see why I should maybe consider doing something different. Let me think this through. Let me look at it, and it's fun. It's really interesting to just see people change. And, the new people in this business are getting it. And then it's kind of fun to see.
I like the fact that, and I'm going to give major kudos to John Frazier. Okay. I don't know if you know him. He's a service manager. And here's a guy that he was in a situation where he had tried everything with a team of advisors and it just didn't work. Just couldn't get the reprogramming in. He scrapped the machine. He put together a brand new machine and he built something that was getting the results that were needed. Right? He was not afraid to, where the world is like, oh, there's nobody. Yes, I'm all for do whatever you can to try to reach those people on their terms to salvage them, because you've got people that have a wealth of knowledge and experience that you don't want to lose. But every once in a while, if you've done everything within your power and you still can't get it done, you have to have the gumption to be able to tear it down, rebuild it, and take a chance that it might fail.
A lesson learned from the sales side, right? Some of the best sales managers I've ever talked about take the bottom 10 or 15% of their salesmen and do them a favor. They allow them to go find another job. They let them loose, okay? Because they're not benefiting the store and they're not benefiting themselves. And, so many times I walk into a service department and the guy goes, all of my service writers have been here for 20 years. Now, some of them may actually have, all great people. But my point is somebody's the bottom 20%. Okay. Right. And the question is, are you doing them a favor, keeping them in your store? Or would you do them a favor to let them go find a different job and you bring in somebody new who can give you a fresh perspective on what real quality service is?
Yeah.
And it's a different way of looking at it than say, I'm just going to fire these people because they do a crap job. No, you're not. What you're going to do is you're going to set them free so they can go find something that they can excel at, because they're failing at what they're doing today. They don't feel good about themselves. You don't feel good about them. And so why do you want to, allow that relationship to continue? Set them free. Go find somebody new. And you're really doing them a favor. And so it's just a different mindset that, we can adapt on the fixed ops side as much as we see, we see over in sales, which was, pretty easy to see. You have a bunch of guys selling 6 cars a month and, the average is 10 or 12. You know what? They're not doing you a favor. You're not doing them a favor. They're starving. Okay.
Let them get money.
Let them go someplace else where they can be successful. Don't make them, don't keep them wallowing in their frustration. It's not working for them. Let them go.
We got a couple of comments coming in. Let's see here. Ken's asking any specials on new Lexuses. Ken, we're not a sales show. All right. Mike Bogle says, Paul and Ron, sorry I missed most of this meeting. We'll have to catch the rerun version. Hello, my fellow fixed ops peeps. Tully Williams, empower your team. Ed is on the spot. Ed is on definitely on top. Damon Decker, what excites me is the telematics, transparency, and personalization. The young people are cool too. Absolutely. Gene Girdley, do the newer guys trust the technology too much and therefore forget the customer contact skills part? That raises an interesting question. We've all heard the argument of the face being buried in the tablet and not making contact with the customer. But by the same token, you can leverage that tablet and have a better interaction with the customer. So it really depends on the fish thinks from the head, right? It's the manager that sets the tone as to how this stuff is used. Let's see here. Gene Gurley. Let's see here. Did I miss one? Oh, they're just flying through here. Gene Gurley says, cool stuff. Annie Lister, Gene Gurley, great point. Tully, data is king. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Gene, I agree. Customer service has suffered. For some it has. And John Frazier's got the blushing face emoji. What else do we have here? Yes, data rules. Damon says, Ron Usher, old people rule.
Well, we've ruled for a long time, and unfortunately, we've got to learn to become good managers now and let the young people excel. Your point about the young people in the customer service, you make an example once of them, okay?
Yeah.
You see them one time, their head buried in their tablet or their computer, not looking at the customer, not doing it ever, and you walk over and you say, do I need to grab both of your ears, okay?
Yeah.
Turn your face and get you to focus on me, okay? Because that's what I'm going to do the next time you ignore one of my customers and don't give them your undivided attention. You have no other job but to give my customers your undivided attention. Do you understand? That's number one, okay? Number two is look at your tablet, okay?
Right.
Focus on what you need to do, because you don't really know what that customer needs simply because they wrote in they need brake shoes. Maybe they don't need brake shoes. Maybe the calipers are bad. Maybe they have big issues. You're right. So listen to the customer first, then play with the tablet.
Let's see here. You know what? Not all of the messages are coming through on the phone here. That's really weird. Ed Roberts says the bottom dwellers contaminate the rest of the team. Very true. Right to your point.
Oh, so true.
And Robert Sebastian, hours are data when analyzed daily. Yeah, no, we got some great stuff here. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're winding it down here. Let's see here. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Fixed Ops magazines, both printed and digital. Do you see more subscribers going to digital than print, or both?
It's funny. The subscribers love the printed magazine, right? Here's Ed's face, right? Here's Ed. The reality is people love this magazine. They love to turn through the 80 pages and look at it over and over, reread articles, look for places. They really enjoy it. The advertisers love the digital side of it. And Paul, we talked about this. Everybody's into ROI, right? No matter what you do today, it's ROI. I gotta get, or return on something, right? I can't do it anymore. Well, when you send out a print magazine, there's no physical ROI. There's just people who say, I love the magazine. Ron, every dealership I go in, I see your magazine sitting on their desk. Man, you're everywhere. And it's like, well, that's because we send out 40,000 copies of this. Okay, so they are everywhere. They should be. The reality is that ROI is only found on the digital side. And just so I don't care if you're looking at automotive, whatever. Okay, I won't mention the other guys who've got a magazine and all of that. But the reality is they track you like a dog when you go to their digital magazine. They know every click. They know where you came from. They know who you are, and they know where you went after you left the magazine. Okay. They like to track you like a dog, and that's why they want to do that. They know how long you were on page 32 of the magazine. Yeah. They know you were there for 2 minutes or 32 minutes. Okay. So that's why the advertisers love the digital magazine. We love both, and we're in no way going to step away from the print magazine, because I really think it's a great product that you can carry with you on the plane. You can take it home with you. You can, sit in your Barca lounger and watch it, when you got a minute. It's fun to read. But the digital magazine is getting better and better. Our new digital magazine platform that just came at the beginning of the year is all HTML, which in fancy words simply means if you're reading it on your iPhone or if you're reading it on your computer, the words are readable. They change. You can actually read these things and actually see what they are. So we're getting the product to be better and better about making it easier for you to read if you want to just take 5 minutes to read an article that you hear about. So we're going to stick with both. We like them both. But the digital is getting more and more progressive, and there'll be more things in the digital with more content. I can run you have a story, and I can have the story be 12 pages long in digital. It really doesn't matter, right? I can have all kinds of embedded videos and all kinds of different links and great things that you can't have in a paper magazine. So eventually the digital will have more content for you.
And the thing about advertising is that all of it works to some degree, right?
Yes.
There's no 100% right answer for everybody. There's no one size fits all, because although you can't measure the number of people that are looking at the paper printed magazine, I can tell you, because I walk into a lot of stores, I see it sitting on top of the service manager's desk. You'll never know exactly who did what, how long, where, and when on that service manager's desk. Whereas on the digital side of things, you have all the data and beyond. So which one works better than the other? I don't know if we'll ever know. What was that saying? I know that 50% of my advertising works. I just don't know which 50%.
That's right. Well, we just make sure that our advertisers get benefit. We know that they're getting benefit from using us because they watch their sales grow when they advertise in us, because we have great people reading our magazine every month. And that makes it worth their time to read it and learn new things.
Got a couple of questions here before we wind it down, because we're actually going over a little bit, but it's okay because it's our show, so we do whatever we want. Let's see. You are correct when you practice what you preach, Robert Sebastian, Mike Vogel says. Gene Gurley, great show and interaction, everyone. Glad to be here and such an amazing group. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. Brian Payton says, your take on pickup and delivery. We'll cover that on the next one, because that opens up a whole lot longer conversation, but definitely come back. We will cover that on other shows as well. ROI is return on intention, says Ed Roberts. Robert Sebastian, Mike Vogel, I just copy great guys like you. Ian Gurley says, nice, Ed Roberts. So listen, I want to thank you. We're a couple of minutes over, but I want to thank you, Ron, very much for being on the show, and all our guests. Thank you very much. Please share this with anyone that would see value in it in their store. And as always, it's Sunday Night Live here on LinkedIn Live, 8 o'clock on Sunday nights. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.